Hello guys, how are you? This is Javier, and I am here today to tell you about the Brooklyn Market Report. Um, this is really an awful filter thing, but well, it's on. Brooklyn Market Report, I have it from the Q4, so the last quarter of last year. I know it's 20 days into the year, but it still gives us a trend, and it's very interesting. It's a very interesting market report. Let me pull it up here. I am in like one of the early pages, but here we go. So this is the report. I'll email it to you if you want it. I would love to send it. There's a nice little breakdown from our presidents and managers who know and are smarter than me. A little bit about the methodology on how to use it. This is how we break down Brooklyn inside Compass, South Brooklyn, mostly houses, a little bit of co-ops and a little bit of condos. East Brooklyn, also mostly houses and a little bit more condos and a little bit more co-ops. Northwest Brooklyn, this is a little bit of houses and mostly condos, and like a third, little bit over a third of them are co-ops. And North Brooklyn is mostly condos and a handful of houses and a very tiny amount of co-ops. That gives you an idea of what we're looking at in Brooklyn. I'm probably telling you this every quarter. These are some of the numbers that they pull out. I find these guys to be interesting, just to keep, to keep like with the trend. However, I find more interesting than all this is when I start looking at the numbers, at the actual numbers. So recorded sales. I'm not too much into recorded sales because I find that recorded sales are really delayed data. Not only me finds that, this is actually the case, but just to give you a rundown, it's broken down into condo and co-ops and houses. This column that you're always going to see here is the quarter over quarter change, and this column is going to be the year over year change. So you can see that we had a dramatic amount of less sales than last quarter and certainly last year. 30% less sales in condos, 17% less sales in co-ops, and 15% less sales in houses. So we had less sales. When it comes to price points, though, the medium and the average, except for the average in houses, the medium and the average have held steady or gone up, except for co-ops. Co-ops actually went down both in medium and in average, but your average and your medium in Brooklyn went up in price, and this is all of Brooklyn. These are contracts that got signed in the summer last year that closed during Q4, and there might be a handful more or less. This data always gets revised a little bit. This is the data that I like, contract signs. Now, you're going to see here that contract signs fell 3.7 and 3.5, depending on whether you're looking at year over year or quarter over quarter. Um, in condos, it actually kept steady quarter over quarter. And sorry, in co-ops, it went a little bit down quarter over quarter, lot down year over year. And in houses, 8.8 and 5.5. So we're looking at a declining amount of contracts in general. It's actually a trend that we have been seeing. Now, why is that? Is that because we have less buyers? Um, is that because the market is a buyer's market? Absolutely not. Here's what's happening in Brooklyn. We have seen one of the largest drop of inventory, and we actually hit last quarter below 30,000 active properties on the market at the same time. So if we look at the decline in inventory, we look that it's over 30% across the board when we look at quarter over quarter. However, contracts went down only 8% or 2% or no percent, which means that there's a lot more activity than the inventory can keep up in Brooklyn. That's why it's creating this sense of urgency. I'm with buyers out there, and we are looking at not a lot of houses because there's not a lot available, and they last very little. It does not stay on the market for a long time. So we are in a very low inventory market in Brooklyn, or we were in a very low inventory market in Brooklyn in Q4. At some point, this has to give. And we're expecting a spring that's going to bring much more sellers to the market. Hopefully that creates a little bit of more of a like a balanced situation with buyers. I am also getting a lot of phone calls from buyers that are back into the market or that are now in the market. Little bit of the constitution of the market, how I told you just earlier, the amount of houses, condos, and co-ops in each of them. And this report has a breakdown of each one of the neighborhoods. I don't want to go into them deeply right now. I think that if you want to see it, shoot me a message or comment on the bottom, and I'll drop a link to download it. That's it. If you have any questions about the market in Brooklyn, in Queens, in Manhattan, for rent, for sale, for buy, for investments, shoot me an email, give me a call, and I would love to chat about your real estate needs or a little bit about what's happening in the market. Take care and see you soon.